Hey, welcome back everyone. Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics, and today I'm going to draw some different faces for you. And forgive my voice, I'm a bit under the weather, but I still want to bring you some content, so hopefully you enjoy this. So it's a bit time lapsed, obviously, and I'm just basically using like an Andrew Loomis style method. I kind of change it a bit. I don't really adhere to it fully, but it's up to you. You know, you can watch other videos. I've got one on the Andrew Loomis method and things like that, and there's plenty of good ones on YouTube here. But basically, I just kind of start with that, and then I start to feel out the forms of the face and align them and measure them based on information already put down. You know, some people get really good at just drawing the eye, using the eye to measure down to the nostril, using the nose to measure over to the other eye, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of piece it out and stretch it out. So it's kind of a mix between those two methods. But you see here, I start with the circle, the line down the middle, both horizontally and vertically, and then I map out the jawline. So the reason why I like doing that is because if I sit there and I measure too much and go, well, this is 1/3 of 1/4, and you go 2/3 this way, you know, becomes too structured. And I think the faces tend to look too structured, where I like a little bit more of a caricature kind of feel and a cartoon kind of vibe to my work. So that's just me. And again, there's no right and wrong way. So you just do whatever feels right to you. But I do feel like if I overly structure it in the beginning, I get a more tense facial construction of tense face. And I don't get as much variety in the character that I like to see. So do it as you will. Like I said, that's all. We all do things a little bit differently. There's no right or wrong. So here I start to pencil in the hair, and I always do this where I start and I go a little bit too wild with the hair. I'm like doing all these different lines. There's no light source in mind. I'm just kind of sketching. But I start there and then I soft erase and refine it, and I try to keep the light source in mind after that. But I ultimately get frustrated with it and say, you know what, I'm just going to go for the more simplified comic style hair. And I don't know that it comes out any better or worse or whatever, but it comes out a lot faster. And all it basically is, you'll see here in a second, it's where I do the same. Well, it's a totally different hairstyle, but I basically just do larger bulks of the hair and then immediately worry about the light source. So this is kind of like a cheat, I feel like, really, but it saves a bunch of time. You knock the hair right out. And you got to kind of always think about these things when you're doing comics. I mean, if you're doing a portrait, obviously you want to do this really realistic hair and this really detailed kind of effect. But if you're doing comics, you kind of just want to wrap it up and get it done, make it look good in a time constraint. So that's what this particular style does. It's real easy to accomplish. You can see there's not a whole lot to it. It's just these big bulks of like almost like you took a marker and filled it in. A lot of artists will do that. They'll take a big marker brush, fill it all in, and then paint in some white or vice versa. But yeah, sorry, this one I start to do an upshot, and I wanted to do somebody that was bigger and bulkier, just a massive kind of character, a little bit of neck to him and stuff like that. And I want to play around with the expression. So a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'm trying to vary it up as much as possible from sketch to sketch. So you'll see me go from male, female, big person, little person, elderly. I don't think I did any elderly in this one, but I should have. It's always good to mix it up. Drawing some kids, draw a baby, draw a puppy, whatever. But just basically, mix it up so that you're getting a lot of range. Again, this is really great for your comics and making sure that you could tell whatever story is thrown at you. And I have to make sure to do this because I write my own stories. So it's really I can kind of back myself in a corner with that. Just I don't feel like drawing, you know, whatever old people or whatever it is. No offense, old people. I'm one of you. So I just don't draw old or write old people into my story, right? That's just you can't do that, especially if one day you do get the opportunity to draw for somebody and they start, throwing in old people and puppies. You got to be able to, be ready to draw that stuff, obviously. So yeah, so varying it up and practicing these stretches of the imagination. This face obviously could almost be the same girl, but the hair's a little bit different style and it's more of an up tilt with a down shot. I even tried to make the mouth and features a little bit more cartoon like. I'll tell you the truth, I was actually picturing the character from I can't remember the comic. I think it's Gen 13 or something. Jay Scott did it for a while. And so I was kind of thinking of that character, even though I haven't looked at that book in ages. But So, but that'll happen sometimes. I'll start drawing a character, just like the one on the bottom right, the big guy. I started to kind of think of Kingpin as I was drawing him. And I don't intentionally do that because I'm trying not to adhere to any one concept as much as I am just trying to stretch concepts and try to, get some range in what I'm doing. But sometimes that happens. You start drawing a certain thing and you go, oh, this looks like Mary Jane from Spider, or whatever you're a fan of, obviously. So they're going with that simplified hair. Notice too that what I'm trying to do is like skip lines a lot. So I use a lot of broken lines and I try to bulk up the shadows here and there just to make things look more intense and more of a focal point. And I kind of wish I would have did that a little bit more with her eyes. When I scaled it down and moved it over, I realized that her eyes didn't have the impact that I usually try to shoot for to draw your attention. So I wish I would have did a little bit better job on the eyes, but c'est la vie, right? Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. So this one I wanted to do more of a scuffy. I don't know what that is, scuffy, scruffy kind of character. And I always enjoy drawing characters like this. They got more character traits and they're a bit more fun to do. Uh, and I think that it's just kind of a looser feel. Like when you draw pretty people and symmetrical people, it's actually harder, I think, because you're trying to get all these features just right to make them look beautiful or pretty or whatever that even is. But when you do somebody that's scruffy or or just a little bit rougher looking or whatever, you can just really have fun with it. Especially I tell you, I actually like drawing more of what I would consider not so pretty or not so beautiful in a character. I think it's more interesting. Likewise, I like drawing really elderly faces. I'm surprised I didn't do more of that here because wrinkles are just so cool, and you can just get so much information and detail, and it's fun to really see what you can do with that. But yeah, so this one's coming to a close. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.